Solomon, my brother, where does brave steel go when it has firmed foundations, stood erect, crippling infirmity, then blazed across furious skies, sharply tracing revolution's flowers with crimson tips along the rough edges of our history? Say, where does brave steel go? Where can Mahlangu go when bent he has faced death row teeth? Those razor-sharp projections drooled to grotesque our peoplehood. Down in the living inferno where he has heard hell's clawed, deafening rumble, he had also seen open trap doors leading to the dangled dazzle of silver and gold and diamonds, just all his, just for a traitor's song. But the warrior spits, courage voluminous, direct into the devil's face. Say, where can our comrade go? Mahlangu cannot go else, save forward to the front line of consciousness.
We are in conversation this morning with the ever-amazing Lindiwe Mabuza, poet, author, politician, all-rounder. Thank you very much for your time this morning. We start with a book you penned, a series of poems in honor of very great people, Dr. Thambo Lenyoka, Mr. Olive Palmer, as well as Dr. Oliver Thambo. What brought this book to life?
It came to life because we are still observing the 100th birthday anniversary of Oliver Thambo. I thought, what does one do personally to honor this great giant of our struggle, the leader, the father of our democracy? So I said I'd written several poems on him, and then I remembered that one of actually his best friends in Europe was Olof Palme. He called him a brother, a fellow combatant, and I had done some poetry on him after his assassination in 1986 in Sweden when I was chief representative of the ANC there. And then I thought, why not include his son, Thabo Mbeki? He was truly regarded as his son, his mentor. He mentored him in his youth and throughout his political life, and also a fellow combatant. I just thought it's nice to put them together in one book.
Right.
It's not been done.
And you have a personal story to tell about Dr. Oliver Thambo. You knew him personally. You've also penned a book, Letters to Uncle O.R., which is a series of letters from children who grew up under him in exile, and it was very interesting to see him through their eyes. Who was he to you?
I actually called him Buti. I could never say president. I just said Buti, and he accepted it. And when he wrote me anything, he would sign Buti. He was our father at the same time, because he and Sis Adelaide, his wife, had this enormous capacity of loving and embracing and taking us all into their one persona. And he's the greatest person I ever had the privilege of being around and being tutored by him politically, matured by him even culturally in my writings. But he was the most disciplined leader I've ever come across. So much integrity in one person that he remains one of the greatest heroes in our lives, those of us who had the fortune of being around him.
You mentioned Mr. Olive Palmer. Let's talk about his role in where South Africa is today. It's not oftentimes that when we talk about the liberation struggle, we mention the likes of Sweden, or we always have a reference to the continent in terms of people who sheltered people who were in the struggle on the continent, but very seldom we hear that story of Mr. Palmer.
I'm so glad you're bringing up that question, because South Africa does not know the role that Sweden played, and it was pioneered by Olof Palme. We are where we are. We got our independence primarily to the infusion of huge amounts of capital from Sweden, whether it was running the ANC office all around the world in Africa, or just the daily well-being of the ANC people in the camps, or whether it was the struggle inside the country, the different organizations that were sponsored by Swedish assistance, the underground work of the ANC operatives, all of that. We owe our being as a free country to Sweden. I can also add that Sweden was leading in that role, but Scandinavia as a whole put a lot of assistance into our struggle. The Norwegians, the Danes, the Finns, including Iceland. And at one time I was chief representative of the ANC in all of the countries, so I know what I'm talking about. We haven't really found a way of honoring and thanking that region of the world, especially Sweden, for what they did to bring us to our democracy. Where consciousness climbs all storms, when the brilliance of his young life sparks inside 1,000,000 hearts. The soldier triumphs where together we build steady forts to break adversity. When together we womb the dream to birth. Mahlangu cannot else but fuse with seasons that dispersed armed seeds into positions warmed with martyr's sacrifice. On lonely cold nights, he vigils amidst hungry watchful eyes in the dark night of crafty enemy flights. Then breakfasts with battalions on vengeance, defiance and dare. Did you see him today, even right now, present us his will, that last testament signed with blood? Pure from the flame of Isilemini, moving like the grace of Bram Fischer. Didn't you hear him today, even right now, sing his poem of love, write an epitaph of love with life, his life? My blood will nourish the tree which will bear the fruits of freedom. Yes, Mahlangu Unbending is the MK symphony never reported in enemy press. He is you and I everywhere, completing his interrupted walk to freedom. Yes, for him too, with life, we must reach freedom's richer states, marching to the unbroken rhythm of surging, dancing spears.
Here's what's coming up after the break. Buying a new